Let's talk about movies. This is candy for my brain. If you wanna talk movies, well, guess what? We on the same thing. You gotta watch this podcast. Watch this podcast. Ayo. You gotta watch this podcast. Ayo. You gotta watch this podcast. Ayo. You gotta watch this podcast.
Oh, it wasn't supposed to just stop like that. I did some tests beforehand, and it didn't do that. Oh, I see why. That's my bad. Hey, everybody. Yeah, that was our theme song. I don't know if we're going to keep doing that on the streams, but figured since we premiered it last week on our Nicolas Cage episode, we'd premiere it here on the streams for everyone to check out. But yeah, thanks to Long Lost Vibes for that. Friend of the show, Long Lost Vibes.
Yeah, thank you.
That's not the command I wanted. I forgot the S. There we go. You can check out their music on Spotify. Links in the Twitch chat. I think we should just get into it regular, like we usually do. So
Let's do it.
because that transition did not work out the way I wanted it to. So
I liked it. You know?
hey, it happened. It happens. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This Podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And today, by Gathbar's Hammer, we will be talking about Galaxy Quest. But before we get into that, and the reasons why we're doing Galaxy Quest, I feel like we need to wrap up last week's show. Last week, if you missed it, was our Nick Cage special with Victims and Villains, where we each picked a Nick Cage film in honor of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And I am proud to say that this Sunday, I saw The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And oh boy, do I have opinions about this movie.
I need to know. I really need to know because I want to watch this movie so bad.
So the plot is crazy. The dialogue is insane. Nick Cage plays himself and his younger self in this movie.
Weird.
Like he has hallucinations of young Nick Cage, like before Moonstruck, like
Oh, so real young.
real young, like Nicholas Coppola. Like this is how he's credited. Nicky Cage.
Wow.
This movie is so insane. I enjoyed every second of it, and I was upset that I walked into the theater about 5 minutes late, so I missed the beginning. But it was like there's nothing I didn't see in the trailer, but it was so good. The chemistry between Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal is phenomenal. And like on paper, it's a mess of a movie, but it works so well because the film knows exactly what it is and has no apologies for it at all.
So did he have one of his like classic Nick Cage freak out moments in it? Because I saw a review of it that says that like Nick Cage is wasted in this movie, which makes me feel like they were looking for something very specific and they didn't get it.
I think they got I got exactly what I expected from this.
Good.
At one point, Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal decided to write a screenplay, and Pedro Pascal pulls out a vial of pure inspiration, which is just LSD, and so they both take acid and go into the village and are just paranoid the whole time. So it's like Nick Cage on a drug trip.
Oh, yep. Okay, that's what I wanted. I'm good.
But yeah, are we going to talk about Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Because that movie Nick Cage has a brief cameo in it. You know
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
The Fast Times Nick Cage is kind of what is in Unbearable Weight, because that's the young template that they used, is that Nicolas Cage. So like he's at the bar and he's just like, Slight spoiler alert. There may be a scene in this movie where Nick Cage makes out with himself. This movie is insane. But yeah, I've never seen Fast Times at Ridge Mountain High. Have you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, a long time ago, and like I don't remember Nick Cage in it,
That's because you saw it a long time ago and you didn't recognize him.
and that's exactly it.
Yeah, so we'll have to add that to the list for me to watch at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have on the FBI, the CIA aspect of the movie. It feels weird. I really enjoyed. I really
Is
enjoyed.
that the plot of the movie, the CIA aspect?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's like they suspect Pedro Pascal kidnapped someone, and so they're
Yeah.
investigating, and so they have Nick Cage spy on him.
Right, of course they do.
But yeah, it's really fun. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And that's my high praise for that.
That's high praise.
Devin, have you watched
Yes.
anything lately?
Guys, Better Call Saul's back.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it feels so good. I missed it. I missed it so much. I didn't realize how much I missed it until I watched it. Now, admittedly, I only watched the first episode. I know that 2 are now live. I think 3 is coming sometime this week, maybe Thursday.
I think it aired here yesterday.
Got it. I think I get it either tonight or tomorrow, because the way that it drops for me is it drops on Netflix like a day after it goes live on AMC for you guys.
Okay.
So I get it weekly. But it's everything I wanted. It's everything I wanted. I love this show. Ryan, have you seen this?
No.
No.
I
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Oh, I love Breaking Bad. I just didn't really care for his character that much to want to watch a show about him.
No, I had that too. And I actually got mad when I first heard about this show together because I'm Cynical Devin, and this is just what Cynical Devin's going to do. And I went, oh, great. They're taking a character I didn't really like, and they're making a spin-off show that I'm not going to care about in order to cash in on that sweet, sweet Breaking Bad money after they ended it the way that they ended it. I hate this. And I watched the first couple episodes wanting to just hate everything about it, but it grabbed me by my heart and pulled me in right away. And I love Jimmy and Saul in this.
I think what the show did. Real quick, Devin, can you pull your mic closer? You seem a little bit distant.
Yes, I can do that. How's
Okay.
this?
That's much better. I think
Wait,
what the show does really well, and especially in that first season, is introduce you to Jimmy, and not Saul Goodman, Jimmy, and Chuck, like his brother, played by. Oh man, what's his name?
He's in so much.
I'm blanking on his name, but just his origin story, I think, has been fascinating the whole way through. And they've gotten more into the Breaking Bad aspect of things with Gus coming in and Mike, and I'm really interested to see how this final season plays out. Because I've seen the first episode of this new season. The AMC app is acting up for me, so I can't watch episode 2. I think they just want me to sign up for AMC Plus, and I'm trying not to. But it might happen now that I have 2 episodes I want to watch. But yeah, I'm really excited for the show. I'm so glad that Bob Odenkirk is well, because he did suffer a heart attack on set when they were filming it for this season. I'm really excited to see how it all folds into with Breaking Bad, because Devin, do you know who's coming in this season?
I heard that the 2 leads are coming in.
Yeah, Walt and Jesse Duke show up this season.
I'm almost disappointed that I know that. And I told people this, and they go, well, of course they're going to show up, Devin. Why wouldn't they? And I'm like, yeah, but don't tell me. Surprise me.
Yeah. I'm really curious how they show up. Does Jimmy just audit one of Heisenberg's classes in high school? What?
my perfect ending to this movie is that or not movie, the series is that the last shot of the last episode is Walt walking in on him and saying I need help or I need advice, and then it cuts to black because we all kind of get where it goes from there. That's where I see it going.
Okay.
But
Devin,
just on this first episode, Rhea Seehorn deserves all of the awards She's wonderful.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love her.
That's
She's
another
so
like
good.
like her story now too is like, where's it going? Because you never see her in Breaking Bad. You never hear
I'm
mention of her.
so nervous.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where the show goes. Devin, I don't know what's going on with your mic, but you still sound far off. I don't know. I don't know if it's your Audacity settings or what, or your not Audacity, Discord. While you figure that out,
Yeah.
Ryan, have you watched anything besides baseball?
Yeah, the Inside Eats with Rhett and Link. Kristen's a huge fan of them and watches literally everything and listens to everything that they do. So she showed me that they were going to be doing this a few weeks ago, and then she had me watch the first episode with her. Which, I mean, it's for the cynical out there. It's basically just kind of like a Chipotle infomercial, to be honest. But it's Rhett and Link, so they're allowed. They do their own little crazy, nutsy things with it. It was very entertaining. It was funny. They were trying to find if there was a link between like a person's personality and their Chipotle order. And
Is
so,
the answer no?
no, they came away undecided. Because
Good.
they use Chipotle office workers as like templates of like trying to get to know them and then trying to like guess what they would eat, and they got all of their orders wrong. So it's just the way that it goes with them. But it's interesting. It's fun. I'm definitely going to continue watching it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, I'm kind of a newer fan of them anyway. So
So,
So
is
are
it,
you actually a fan of them?
yeah, I mean, I am. I don't watch their stuff as much as Kristen does, but
Mhm.
yeah, like I don't shy away from. Whenever I see their content, I watch it all the way through.
it baffles me that Rhett and Link are still around because they're one of the few YouTubers that I knew from back in the like YouTube's like infancy that are still around and creating content. Because I was introduced to them on a show by the Fine Brothers, who are who are disowned by YouTube completely now.
Wow.
But like it was a Lost parody. Like that's how long ago like Lost was still on, and they were making Lost parodies, with
Good for
Rhett and
them.
Link. But I like some of the stuff that I've seen from them. I check out Good Mythical Morning here and there. So is Inside Eats a YouTube show or is it?
I think it's on Hulu. I remember I asked her like 2 hours ago what service we watched it on, but we watched it on the smart TV, so it had to have been Hulu.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much them being themselves. They were talking to like the head chef at Chipotle, and they actually went to one, and it's their normal gimmicks and skits. It's around food,
So
and it's fun.
so is each episode a different restaurant then?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think each episode is them going to like a different restaurant or a different. I mean, it's still new, and all I know about this show is what I saw in the first episode and like a teaser they did like a few weeks ago. So I'm going to assume this is what they're going to be doing. And you know what? If they're going to get paid to just do their stick in like corporate kitchen offices, I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'll watch it.
Okay.
Is it controversial to say that the jump from YouTube to like mainstream television is a very hard one to make, and like
Not
wonder
for
if they're
them.
doing well? Not for them.
Not for them, because I think they've been doing this for so long, and
Sure.
the fact that they've established themselves as just pure entertainers, that this is it. Like I said, they do their own stuff. I mean, their
Yeah.
own stuff. They're still doing the same jokes they always do. They're still running into their gimmicks. It's just they're doing it around food, so which
Okay.
makes it kind of funnier in a way.
I mean, to be fair, like the episodes that they focus around food of Good Mythical Morning are the ones I like the most.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I feel like I would like this.
yeah. So I highly recommend.
Devin, you're gonna kill me. Like I don't know what's going on with. I don't know if it's on my end or your end. You sound better now, but your mic is too close.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll back
Yeah.
up then. That's
Yeah.
fine. Better is good. Close
yeah.
is fixable.
Yeah.
How about now? Better?
Yeah. Sounds good. I'll fix it in post. I just hope it's
Hey,
okay
no
for the
worries.
stream. Let us know how we sound because I'm paranoid, evidently.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep today, so. I have something else for we watch this, but it actually has to do with our main topic, so I'm going to save that for later.
I hope I know what it is because I need to know.
I think you do.
I think I do.
So let's get into tonight's main topic. This week's show is a film that all three of us have seen before, and we're going to get into why that is and why we're breaking the rules. But this week's pick is 1999's Galaxy Quest, starring Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Sam Rockwell, Tony Shalhoub, and a whole bunch of other people whose names that's as many as I could get off at the top of my head. So Galaxy Quest is a film that all three of us have watched before. And if you're new to the show, usually what we do and what we've done for the last 6 years, because we've been doing this for that long, every week we do a film that one of us has never seen. That's the whole point of the show, is introducing ourselves to new movies, and we talk about them. I got to pick this one because I won our Oscar pool, and the reward for that was get to pick any movie. Doesn't matter if no one has seen it. We can watch a movie that all of us have seen, and after some debate, I had my choice, and then I realized we were supposed to do this on First Contact Day back at the beginning of the month, and then I got sick and we had to push it. So here we are now celebrating my Oscar win. I'd like to thank the Academy, and Chris Rock.
Oh.
No, it's not.
But not Amy Schumer. Yeah. I mean, of all the names I could have mentioned right now who are in the news, that could have done a lot worse than that.
Absolutely could have.
But yeah, so this film, I don't remember the first time I've seen this. I think it was on like HBO back in like 2001. But this is one of my favorite films, I think. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit more later. But I don't think I saw this in theaters, but I absolutely adore this film. This was my introduction to Alan Rickman, because this came out before Harry Potter. So when Harry Potter came out, it was like, oh my God, it's the guy from Galaxy Quest. Where everyone else is like, that's Hans Gruber. But yeah, this is my introduction to Alan Rickman and Sam Rockwell. Maybe even Sigourney Weaver. Like, I think the only person I knew going into this movie was Tim Allen when I saw it the first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm curious, what are your guys' earliest memories of Galaxy Quest, since we've all seen it before?
Mine's probably gonna be boring, so I'll go first. To be honest, I've seen this on TBS, or whatever station would play it. I probably watched it through once, thought it was fine. I thought it was funny that Tony Shalhoub, that guy from Monk, was on it, and that's really my history with it. I'm not too much of a Trekkie, so like, I like the idea of it a lot, but like, if there are any like inside references to Star Trek or the fandom or the culture, I don't really know and didn't connect on that level. I just thought it was a fun movie. I also had people in my life that like had weird rules about not allowing Tim Allen movies in the house. So like, I would just got in situations where I just wasn't allowed to watch Tim Allen in some houses.
Let's put a pin in that, and we'll come back to that later, because I'm intrigued. Good. Ryan, how about you?
So, going into this movie when I was younger, like, I didn't see it in theaters. I don't believe I saw it in theaters. But this ended up being not just one of my favorite movies in like the early 2000s, but my dad's favorite movie too for a while. So we watched this a lot. And I mean, obviously, I knew Tim Allen from Full House. Not Full House, Home Improvement. Right. I knew Tim Allen from Home Improvement. I knew Shalhoub from the show Wings, of all things.
Wow.
Sigourney Weaver.
I knew Weaver from the Alien movies, but yeah, and I'd seen some of the next gen movies, so I got some of the references to it. and this is just one of my favorite sci-fi films. In fact, I have this Blu-ray, and there's like certain Blu-rays that we have like out that so like when we open up the gate on our like TV stand thing, like there's a bunch of Blu-rays sitting there, and this Blu-ray sits right in between all of the Star Wars movies I have, which is all of them, and it sits in between them and my Star Trek movies. So it's right there with the main two, because it, as far as I'm concerned, it's really for both franchises. So
I'm gonna want to unpack that a bit later as well.
Okay. So Devin, I have a question for you, and I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Ryan knows the answer since he owns this. What rating does this movie have? Do you know? If you had to guess, what was this movie rated?
Oh my god, probably a PG.
Yeah, it's PG.
Is it a PG?
It's
okay.
PG.
Here's why I think it's PG.
Okay.
Can I say why I think it's PG?
Yes.
There is a part in the movie, I don't know if this is a thing. There's a part in the movie where very clearly Sigourney Weaver says the F word,
Mm-hmm.
and they like, and not even like subtly, just dub it over with the word like suck or something like that. Like they don't even
Screw.
do
It's
a good
screw.
job of it.
Yeah.
Is it screw?
Yeah.
yeah,
It's so badly done. It distracted me for a while.
There's a reason behind that.
Okay.
The studio interfered and made them make this movie PG.
Oh.
So in the editing room, they cut a lot of the swearing and everything, and it still worked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going out on a limb and saying this is probably the most entertaining PG film that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow. Okay.
Because I can't think of any others that I've seen. Like, this definitely beats any Nickelodeon film I've ever seen. Because it's PG, and what I think is fascinating about it is it doesn't just cater to kids. It's just...
No.
It's a film that the marketing was made for kids, but it just works as a solid film without the swearing. It doesn't need to be PG-13. It works the way it is. They dubbed that line poorly because, one, they didn't think they were going to have to change it, and two, like, it just made it funnier for the adults in the room. And there is, like, in the chat, friend of the show Josh is saying, there's the urban legend of the R-rated Galaxy Quest.
Is there one of these?
I believe there is. I know there's the footage for it. So, which we'll get into a little bit later. But so Ryan, what are some of your favorite moments from this as a Trekkie? Like, what are your favorite allusions to the Star Trek franchise in this?
One, the homage to the way that the fight scenes worked when it came to the like rock monster and the two-legged snarling pig thing.
Yeah.
So like the way that that William Shatner would fight, the way that he would roll around. So you have that. And the craziness of like the actors having to actually fill out the jobs on the ship, and how truly ridiculous they realize that, like, this isn't supposed to work this way. Like, this is not the way it's supposed to go. But unfortunately, because this race of more advanced creatures came across our show and made it work this way, we have to kind of do it, even though this is absolutely nuts. So it's that whole idea mixed with like them landing on the shuttle and going, "Is there air out there? You don't know." And then Shalhoub going, "It's good. It's good."
We need your help. Yeah. Devin, how about you? Like, I know you're not a huge Star Trek guy, but was there anything in here you're like, okay, I can see what they're making fun of there?
I think I caught the role, because I think I know that, like, that he just does like the role, and that he was like, I don't know why I need to do this, it's effective or something like that, and I thought that was really funny. A lot of it seemed just very like Trek adjacent, if not exactly Trek. Like, I feel like the whole like them being on a desert planet fighting a rock monster has to be an episode of like the Next Generation, like ripped whole cloth. And if it's not, it should be or should have been. Or not the Next Generation, sorry, the original one.
Mhm.
There was like a lot of things that I felt were very similar to it, but I wasn't entirely sure. Now I have a quick admission here. Ryan gave me homework, and I did my homework.
Okay.
I watched 3 episodes of Star Trek. I watched one of the original series and watched 2 Next Generation. And at some point, I would like to talk about the connections because I saw a few after watching this.
Yeah.
After watching them, I went, "Oh, that's what they
That-
were going for." Great.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
What were the 3 episodes you had him watch, Devin or Ryan? And give us like a brief 1-sentence summary of what the episode is.
Okay. So the one from TOS was the arena, and that's the one where Kirk has to fight the Gorn.
The lizard guy?
The lizard man.
Yeah.
So it's that one, and I picked that one because it's in the desert, and it's the whole like craziness of like trying to outsmart your adversary.
Yeah.
Caught that one.
Yeah. The next one, I cannot remember the name of it right now, but I think it's like a season 2, episode 18, the time loop one. It's the one with Frasier.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
It was like effects and causes or something like that, or causes and effects.
Cause and effects,
Yeah. So that one, the crew of the Enterprise gets stuck in a time loop, and they slowly realize it, and they have to send a message ahead so that they can avoid the problem and save futuristic Frasier from death for the 1 billionth time.
Real
and
quick
then-
before I forget, I need to send you a TikTok that I found that I think is right up your alley, Ryan. It's grunge Frasier.
That's very interesting.
It's just
yeah.
some guy took like snapshots of Frasier and did all of the voices and is just talking about rock bands in the early 90s in Seattle. It's
There we go.
phenomenal.
That's
Okay,
that is
as
right
you
up
were.
my alley.
You
Okay.
brought up Frasier and I
Um,
had to bring it up.
Yeah, and then I did another episode that was just for silly purposes, just because it's one of my favorite. And it's called Up the Long Ladder, which is where the Enterprise saves a lost human outpost or civilization that is truly based off like an Irish village from like 120 years ago, and another civilization that was from that original group where it's just a bunch of clones. And they force them to like help each other out. And it's just a silly episode, so that's why I picked that one.
Good.
I got confused there for a second when you said Irish society on another planet and thought you made him watch the other Irish episode of Star Trek Next
We
Generation.
are going to do that one on its own. Because
Okay,
Devin's
and we're not
gonna
gonna say
need, like,
we're not gonna
therapy
say what
after that
happens.
episode.
We're not gonna say
Yeah,
what
no.
happens with the sexy space ghost.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna. Yeah, exactly.
I literally
Yeah.
can't wait.
You're gonna
um,
need therapy after that episode. I guarantee it.
So-
You're gonna need-
If I were to give you any homework for this to understand any jokes in this, I'd have one assignment for you, and it would be for one moment in the film, and it's Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and it's one of
Okay.
my favorite moments of the film is when they all get on the bridge for the first time, and they have to fly out of the spaceport. The long shots of the spaceport are such an important thing in Star Trek movies for some reason.
Mhm.
And Star Trek: The Motion Picture is the most guilty of this. It will just stay on the ship moving slowly for like too long. Like it suffers from what I call 2001 syndrome.
Makes
And-
sense.
But having that image in your head and then seeing them just scratch the side a little bit and like their reactions to it, like Tim Allen just like
Yeah.
makes that scene so much funnier. And beyond that, I think just having a base knowledge of like the different roles, like knowing who Spock is,
Yeah.
yeah.
If
Is-
it makes you feel any
Oh,
better, I knew enough about Star Trek to, when I watched The Arena, I texted Ryan right away and said, the logistics of this away mission make me mad because they brought along 3 science officers and 1 security guard. Why did they do this? So, like,
And
I
as
know
soon as
enough
I got
about
that
Star Trek.
message- And as soon as I got that message and I read it, he sent another one that said, "Oh, the red shirt died." Okay.
So like, I mean, I know enough about Star Trek and the lore to like understand it, and like, I actually the one thing I did like was when Sam Rockwell was freaking out, where he's like, "I don't even have a last name. You don't even know my last name. I thought I was gonna die on the ship. Now I'm gonna die down here." Like, I thought that was funny.
Okay, let's talk about Sam Rockwell because
Okay.
this movie is stacked with talent.
Yes.
He's kind of the newcomer of this group at this point. But he holds his own to Sigourney Weaver and Alan Rickman and Tony Shalhoub. Like, he's such a essential part of this movie, and I can't picture it with anyone else in that part.
It's what Shalhoub said, told him to finally calm him down. Like, you're just the pucky comic relief. That's why it works so well. And he's good at that.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I think of that this is missing from a Sam Rockwell performance is I don't know if he dances at all in this.
No, I don't think he does.
Kind of. He kind of uses his dancing skills when he's talking about like sacrificing himself for the greater goods, so that the other people can escape. Because he's holding the gun, then he shifts over here, then he shifts over there, then he spins around. So I mean, he kind of uses his dancing skills in that scene.
Okay.
I like to think there's a full dancing scene in the R-rated cut, which, by the way, I'm now obsessed with and want more than I wanted the Snyder cut.
Yeah. Well, I know a bit about the history of this movie. I'm gonna get into this a little bit because I feel like this is a perfect segue.
I want to.
So, on Amazon, there is a documentary called "Never Surrender," a Galaxy Quest documentary. Which goes into the history of the film, the production, interviews the cast, the filmmakers, different celebrities who have been involved with Star Trek and other nerd culture things. So you get Sigourney Weaver, you get Tim Allen, you get the directors, you get Tony Shalhoub for a bit, Sam Rockwell, Justin Long. Those are the names you get. You get the director, the writer, production design, all of those people. Then you get Greg Berlanti, who is behind The Flash and Arrow on the CW, all of those shows. Damon Lindelof, who wrote Lost and produced Star Trek in 2009. Will Wheaton, who was on Star Trek Next Generation. Brent Spiner, who plays Data on Star Trek. And you get people who are in Star Trek saying in this documentary, like, why didn't we do that? But this documentary is, if you want to learn more about where they were coming from with this film, like as a love letter to fandom in the late 90s, and like just the history of the film, like the original director for this was Harold Ramis.
What?
And he left, and they almost, like, Harold Ramis did not want Tim Allen to play the captain.
Oh, weird.
And they list a bunch of names that could have been the captain, including Alec Baldwin. There were other ones. Now I'm blanking.
Nick Cage. Is it Nick Cage?
No. Alec Baldwin was the big one. I was like, I could maybe see that.
I can see it too.
But it was a really interesting, like, Harold Ramis left, so they brought in this director to take over, and like the film became what it was because they came about it with a whole different perspective of like not wanting it to just be making fun of these people and this, like, the fans. Like, it's a tribute to everyone who loves this stuff. And I think that's part of the reason this film works so well, is because it's a love letter to fandom.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it does show, especially in the beginning, it shows like the weird kind of animosity towards like fandoms that the actors have, especially through Alan Rickman's character. And it's always interesting to me to see how it changes and how like literally last night before I watched this movie, I was having a chat with my sister and my wife about how fandoms are just awful. I mean, we were specifically discussing Star Wars and Rick and Morty and My Little Pony and those types of things, and we're like, we hate fandoms, and like this movie was such a nice kind of counterpoint to that. I think you guys are in the Trek fandom more than I am. Is this kind of what the Trek fandom is like? Like it's all like pretty decent people, and nobody's like,
Yeah.
nobody's like,
Silver badges.
in my version of Star Trek, it wouldn't have this thing happen, and I would have written Kirk differently. Like, is it like that?
Happens. It happens.
Oh, does it?
See, the thing is, the problem is that in every fandom, you're going to have those people that take it, as far as I'm concerned, one step too far.
Sure.
And where that happens for me is when somebody will just not be able to contain themselves around someone else who says they like the same thing, but has a different opinion about something. And they just can't be like, well, why would you think that? Only an idiot would take it that way.
Sure.
That's where my line of between, positive fandom and toxic fandom lies. And I understand that there needs to be a tiny bit of gatekeeping when it comes to some stuff, just because of like where like the center of things are. But at the same time, it's like, who cares? If someone looks at Star Trek and says, hey, this is just a giant dream of Picard. Like, Picard's in a coma, and the entire next gen is just him dreaming. Like, fine. If you want to believe that, I don't care.
Oh man.
Is that a theory?
No, it's not. It's just something that came up top of my head. It's something that came up.
I don't know if gatekeeping something that I do agree with there, Ryan.
Well, no. Okay, no. I just want to get this out there, okay, correctly. I hate gatekeeping. I do. Okay, truly do. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's one of those things where if someone believes somehow mistakenly that Picard was not a captain and he was a senior officer, and they're like, he was a senior officer, but like, he was a captain. That's what I'm talking about, because
Okay.
that is gatekeeping to a point. I'm not talking about.
I wouldn't say that's gatekeeping. That's just fact checking. Gatekeeping is more like you like Rey saying she's a Skywalker, so therefore the rest of your opinions are invalid.
Or like, oh, you like Star Wars? Name every clone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's this. That part of the fandom has always existed.
Yeah.
In both fandoms. Stuff like that's always existed. It's more pronounced now because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's fair.
at the same time, like, as far as I'm concerned, gatekeeping covers almost everything when it comes to getting the facts straight.
Yeah.
Where it goes astray is when it stops being about facts and it starts being about opinion. And that's where it goes wrong.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews on, not the place to go for safe opinions, but Reddit has a lot of mixed reviews on Picard this season. But I'm enjoying it, and I don't let them get me down. Like, sure, it has issues, but I still enjoy it. I'm more
I think
excited.
that's really all that matters.
Yeah, like I don't let like. Is The Rise of Skywalker a great film? No. Do I enjoy parts of it? I think so. I haven't watched it in a while, but I still own it. And not just because I'm a completionist, but like I maybe this week, like I think for May the 4th next week, I will probably watch Rise of Skywalker again for the first time in
Perfect.
2.5 years. The movie is that
That's
old
gross.
already. Oh man,
That's gross. Don't do that.
that's
Don't bring
not,
years
not
into this.
that's not as gross as the thing we're doing next week, which we're not going to talk about.
Oh no.
You know what it is. We talked about it in the chat earlier.
Oh, then yeah, okay.
Yeah. No,
That
it's
is
not.
pretty
It's
gross,
not.
though.
It's pretty gross, but it's not like gross. It's more like we're just getting old.
I don't want to talk about it. I
yeah.
don't want to talk about it.
Things happen. So Devin, you
Yes.
said before about you wanted to talk about things that you saw connections between the episodes you watched and then
Yes.
the movie. And and that's why I had you watch those episodes. So what did you see that kind of changed your perspective the second time around?
So I mean, the fight scenes, I can definitely see more of where they're coming from. I knew about the fight scene in the original series with the lizard guy,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's iconic. Like everybody knows that he goes to a desert planet and fights him. I didn't know everything that made up that scene, and that was really nice. And it was nice to see all that in action. I think I don't know any direct connections between the cause and effect one and this and Galaxy Quest, and would love for you to fill in that gap for me. But I liked the whole like problem solving. I mean, here's the thing about Star Trek is every time I watch an episode of it, I mean, I've only watched what people recommend, so I'm guessing I'm getting the good bits. There's always parts of it where I'm like, that's very interesting. Some parts of it might be weirdly executed, but very interesting. Like for example, I messed up, or Netflix messed up the order, and you said, watch. My goodness, it was like season 1, episode 18 of the original series. Season 1, episode 18 was actually episode Shore Leave for me on Netflix, which is the one where they go to the planet and you start seeing the Alice in Wonderland bunnies. And I'm like, what am I looking?
That's the one with the dog with the cardboard cone on his head, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm
such
like,
a weird
I'm like, look-
episode.
I'm like, look, I get it. I get the premise. I think it's very cerebrally interesting, but I'm also watching this.
Yeah, no, the cause and effect one, it
Mhm.
was simply I wanted you to see that yes, temporal distortion, time travel is done in episodes. That's
Fair.
all that was supposed to
That's
be.
set
was
up.
just supposed that and I wanted you to get used to like seeing the characters in their roles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I did. The first episode was very connected to the movie, and then the next 2 episodes was pretty much just like, well, this is loosely connected, but at least then he'll see like this person always does this, and this
Yeah.
person always has this to say.
And the one thing I did catch is, especially in the Next Generation, you had the absurd usage of controls in it. Where
Yeah.
like at one point he has to like, I don't know, essentially Google something. I think Spock is doing, and he's just hovering over keyboard, just doing this to it. I'm like, what are you typing, man? They're just numbers in this.
Okay,
Like,
next gen or original series? Because I think you meant Data instead of Spock.
I absolutely meant Data instead of Spock. Absolutely, I did.
It's great that I can pinpoint that based on like the way
Yeah.
you were talking about him using the
Yeah.
controls.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely get that connection.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found the list of actors who also were considered by Harold Ramis.
Okay.
Steve Martin,
Mm,
which could have been good.
yeah.
I don't know if he has the gravitas to do like the Shatner stuff that Tim Allen pulls off in this, but the other actor that I would absolutely love to see this version of Galaxy Quest, Kevin Kline.
Ooh. Yeah, I could see that one too.
In
the
the
underwear model? It was a joke. Joke.
in the documentary, they talk about they're talking to Sigourney Weaver, and they're listing off the actors who could have played Tim Allen's part, and they're like, "Oh, another one of your co-stars, Kevin Kline," and she just looks and she's like, "That'd have been fun." But Tim Allen, like, just to talk about him a little bit, he's a big sci-fi fan, and he brought a lot of passion into this. Like, they showed a lot of his collection in this documentary of things that he has. Ryan, I feel like you would go crazy in his office, and I feel like you should watch. I'm not going to tell you what he has in his collection, but I will say it's from one of your favorite movies, and maybe one that you have a poster of right behind you.
Wow.
But I think he does a great job in this. And Tim Allen's not like I'm hard bent to name a Tim Allen film that I like that's not the Santa Claus or Toy Story or Galaxy Quest. Like, there's not much else going on in Tim Allen's career. Like, I never really got into The Last Man Standing. I grew up on Home Improvement. He's no longer Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he okay? So I need you guys to answer this for me then. So I'm gonna unpin what you had pinned, Alan. Is Tim Allen like a not good guy? So the story behind this is I was at somebody's house. I won't specifically name names, so I was at somebody's house, and I wanted to watch. I don't know why I did. I really wanted to watch Jungle to Jungle
Okay.
for some reason, and I was told explicitly, "We do not watch Tim Allen movies in this house. I will not put that man on my television. If you want to watch that, you go home and you watch that in your own time. It will not show up here."
What year was this?
This had to have been 20. It had to have been 2002, 2003, maybe.
Okay.
Sometime around then. It had to have been early 2000s.
I know he had some run-ins in the law with the law in the 70s. I know he was arrested for cocaine possession, and there is a mugshot of Tim Allen out there that looks like he's from the 70s and arrested for cocaine possession. Beyond that, I can't think of anything. Like nowadays, maybe some of the political stuff that he's done. But yeah, I can't think of anything that very specific.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better then.
Yeah, I mean, all I know about Tim Allen personally, because to be like, everything I know about celebrities is accidental. I never search
Sure.
out this type of stuff. I mean, I do know that him and Ben Stein are kind of like similar minds on stuff. So like that joke in BoJack.
You know it from BoJack, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew it before BoJack,
Oh,
but
sure.
I also knew from that joke in BoJack, where in like 1992, his one girlfriend got stuck talking to him and to Tim Allen and Ben Stein about taxes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like that's that's all I really know about his personal life. I just Googled Tim Allen 2002, and I got a movie that he was in, and that's it. Like I couldn't
Joe
find
somebody?
anything. Big
What
Trouble.
movie?
They're about the same movie. I figured it was a long shot. But if I got that right, I would have just walk off the show.
You were 1 year off, by the way.
2001.
Yeah.
2001.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back to Google.
Yeah. No, you're
That's when Joe Somebody was.
So
Wait, no, that makes me feel better. It makes me feel like
Yeah.
I was just a jerk then.
So I'm going to say something about Sigourney Weaver that I haven't said about her on this show before.
Do it.
I really like her in this. Like, that's all I have to say about that. Like,
Yeah.
I like her part though. Like, I like the joke of I have one job on this ship. It might be stupid, but I'm going to do it. That's something that I say to my wife constantly. Like whenever I'm being stupid, I'm like, I have one job on this ship. It might be stupid, but I'm going to do it.
I'm doing it. I'm repeating the stupid computer. I'm doing it.
That's one line from this movie that we quote all the time. The other one is occasionally when one of us gets up to leave the room and the other says, "Where are you going?" I'll just turn around and be like, "To see if there's a pub."
Oh, I love that one too.
Do you guys have any favorite lines from this?
Alan or Ryan, what do you think?
Okay.
I'm
I was
stalling.
waiting for you for some reason. I
No,
don't know
I'm-
why.
I'm
But,
stalling.
I mean, I've got. There's too many because almost every scene in this, there's a perfect line, and it's not really a line. It's a sound, and it's when I forget the actor's name. We were just talking about him. He screams after being sent to
Sam Rockwell.
the Sam Rockwell. He screams after like Tim Allen comes into the room, and he just because they were so pent up and like what just happened, and it was just
Mhm.
the best part is if you watch it, Sigourney Weaver jumps. I do not think she was expecting him to yell
No.
because she physically like jumps like she was startled by him screaming. So that whole scene to me is perfect. And that's my favorite line is just the yell.
That's such a perfect scene to like introduce them to this new world that they're in, and then you have Tony Shalhoub like, "What's their problem? Let's go."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, so that ties into my favorite line then is during the first time that they're fighting the bad guy, I forget his name, they go through the minefield and they keep like pushing the engines more and more and more, they switch over to Tony Shalhoub down by the engines, and Tony Shalhoub's line, if you were in any Star Trek movie or any science fiction movie, is to scream about, "You're pushing it too hard! It can't take anymore!" Potentially, you're pushing the engine a little bit too hard. The engine's it's a little bit we can't sustain this. Yeah, and
The
he's
guys
just so,
down here are saying
Yeah.
we may want to back it off a little bit.
yeah, and he's so like deadpan about it. I'm like, what a good choice.
Well, I mean,
The burst is meant for short bursts, not to hold it down.
yeah, I mean that to me, like, I love the reactions that they had to have one person who was just so into the experience that, like, at that moment they didn't care if they were going to die because of the experience that they're having. Like, there's
Yep.
no way to top this, so he's just gonna be like, if I die here and now, I'm fine with that. like that was pretty much his personality going into it, and I love the love affair that they spark between him and the one alien, because that whole thing is just perfect.
It is, and I also feel like I know that the actor that plays that alien, and I can't.
Oh, she's in a lot of stuff. Like, she was in a lot of stuff that was in the 90s.
Okay,
And also the early 2000s. Like, she had a certain look. I believe she's the sister-in-law? Or the ex-sister-in-law in Bringing Down the House.
I don't know if I've seen Bringing Down the House. Oh, so I was right. That was Justin Long that played the nerd.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad
Yeah.
I got him. Yeah, I can't.
Which
Find her.
which actress are we talking about?
The one that Tony Shalhoub falls in love with.
Oh, Missy Pyle.
Missy Pyle.
She was in
Bitch.
Dodgeball.
She was in Dodgeball.
Oh, and the artist in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Looking at
and
how I
she was the
recognized her.
sister. I believe she was a sister-in-law in Bringing Down the House.
Probably.
Yeah.
Other noteworthy appearances in this: Rainn Wilson,
Yeah. Oh, young Dwight is wonderful.
who would have been in it more had he not booked a pilot on NBC.
Is that how that worked?
Yeah, because he just kind of
Oh.
disappears halfway through the movie.
He does.
Yeah.
Huh.
We mentioned Justin Long.
Which his depiction of a crazy, fan is just spot on, and that's one of the reasons why I said before that this does good for both the Star Trek and Star Wars fandom.
Mhm.
And Devin, I know you said something about you wanted to like pick that apart a little bit. Why?
What about the fan? About like his part in it?
Well, I mean, before when I said that, to me, this
Mm-hmm.
movie fits for both Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah, just
Star
that
Trek fandom.
he was the link between them for you.
Yeah,
Like that
he was.
fandom?
Yeah, because I mean, I've met Star Wars fans that obsessive about it, and I've met Star Trek fans that obsessive about it, and so that's where, like, I mean, this movie was almost made as a love letter for Star Trek, but
Mhm.
the way that they depict fandom is so universal that, I mean, that could also be like, for season ticket holders, the majority of all pro sports teams have some type of convention before the season, and they have like a stage where they talk to the manager and the owner, and they go over
Oh.
things for, like the season ticket holders, like a banquet or something. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, like, it's pretty much a universal fandom thing, and this movie just hits it right in the right spot.
I can definitely see that. Also, before we keep going, I have to ask a very serious question, Alan.
Yes.
What is that behind you?
This?
The book.
The book? Okay. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I found this shopping in a comic book store. It is called Galaxy Quest: The Journey Continues.
What?
This was published in... I haven't read it yet. I wanted to. I just never got around to it. It's published in 2015.
Wow.
And I believe it takes place after the movie. Because I think they still play themselves. And are pulled back out. Because Saren's on the
Oh,
cover.
Saren is on it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'll have to read it, but there what I want to bring it down a little bit because we've been talking a lot about the movie and how much we enjoy it. There was a moment back in 2015, probably around the time that book was being published, where there was going to be a sequel to Galaxy Quest. There was going to be an Amazon television show, and everyone had signed on. But then Alan Rickman passed away.
Oh, now I'm sad.
So that kind of put a pin in it, and there were rumors that they're going to bring it, like try to do it without him, which I don't think any of them want to do, but it might happen. But he's such a big part of this movie. Like, I don't know, like you can't recast. Like about the only person you can recast him with and get away with would be like Patrick Stewart, but I think he at this point he's too old to do it. But yeah, so there was a moment where that was going to happen. Wow. And they talk about that a bit in the documentary. Like Sam Rockwell talks about how excited he was that he had scenes with Alan Rickman in it, and the actor who plays the alien who dies in his arms talks about the last time he saw him a few months before he passed, and he wasn't looking well, and he told them that he had a stroke and had to cancel projects, but really he was just hiding the fact that he was dying.
Awful.
Which I remember when Alan Rickman died. I heard it on NPR as breaking news first thing in the morning. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like that still hurts. Especially watching this, like it's like this is like yeah, he was Snape for that series that we don't really talk about anymore. He's Hans Gruber, but for me, he's always Sir Alexander Dane.
Yeah, I mean, he's had such a great career, and he's so like, I mean, one of the weirder ones that I love him in is I love him in Sweeney Todd. Like, I think he's a phenomenal actor. Anytime I see him, I'm like, okay, great, they've elevated whatever they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a shame to lose him.
Dogma, like I've got him on my wall over here on my Dogma poster.
Yeah.
Man, I would have loved to see him work with Kevin Smith again.
He would have been in the more recent Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee they would have got him back.
They were supposed to do a few projects together, and it just never happened. But yeah, such a great loss.
Yeah.
All right, maybe not great, huge loss. I think that's the words I was looking for.
I got it.
So since we're all sad now, any final thoughts on Galaxy Quest?
The gags. Okay, so there were plenty of times where the actors, where the characters, actors, whatever, would mention about the show and working on it and then having to pretend. My favorite gag of the whole thing, and then if you guys can think of one, or whatever, is where they're in the bowels of the ship and they have to get the timing right to get through the like flamethrowers and like the munchers, and then Sigourney Weaver, which I'm pretty sure they dubbed over again, was whoever wrote this episode should die or something like that. Like those moments I loved in this, because it showed again, like you've got actors, normal people, stuck doing something that they really should not be doing.
Yeah.
They're really outside their depth. Was there a scene that really like drove that home, or was your favorite gag of like showing them that they really shouldn't be out there?
I mean, for me, like literally, it was the leaving the hangar scene, because the guy that was driving it goes, "Ah, it sucks to be him. Glad I'm not the captain." And I'm like, you have to drive this. Why are you making this joke?
Yeah, for me, oh man, I think watching it the last few, I watched this twice since we said we were doing this for the show. I think it's the first time that Tim Allen's on the ship where he's just like, just fire everything. All right, I gotta get home. Like, he just fires all of the weapons and like does some damage, and it works. Like just the passiveness of that, like he's just like, yeah, meh, blow him up,
Just,
and then he does. That's probably the moment for me.
yeah.
Okay.
I think I came to a realization today about this movie, and it's not something I say lightly because I always have trouble with this question. But I think it's safe to say this is making it into the rotation of, hey, Alan, what's your favorite movie? I'm just going to start saying Galaxy Quest. I love this movie so much. Like, it's just pure joy. It's so much fun with the performances and the great writing and just a solid story all around because you have like dramatic moments, but it's funny. It gets silly. It gets gross in spots. Like, oh, that's not right. Like, but yeah, I think this is making it into the Alan needs to find the poster for this movie and hang it on the wall club.
Yeah, there's. I'm sorry.
I found one online. I said to my wife, "Can I buy this?" She's like, "No, we have enough."
Never enough.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Never give up. Never stop buying movie posters.
The Blu-ray I have has like a making of, which from the sound of it is pretty much just a rehash of that documentary that Alan was talking about, but just not as detailed. But they interviewed a writer for the majority of a lot of the early Star Trek movies, and he pretty much said that this film struck the perfect balance between like parody and homage.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it made fun of, like, it poked fun at the obvious silly things that everyone agrees on, but at the same time it did it in a very respectful way, which I feel like if they were able to turn this into a show earlier on, I feel like the space that the Orville takes up, that space wouldn't have been there for that show to take up. This would have been that.
Oh wow. I think I could see that.
Yeah, I think I could definitely see that too.
Is this what the Orville is? Is the Orville basically just like a parody of Star Wars or Star Trek? I mean,
the Orville's weird. From what I've seen of it, it's not a parody of Star Trek. It's kind of just Star Trek adjacent. Like, it's not like it's Seth MacFarlane. It's not like a parody though. Like, it's got funny moments to it, and he's kind of a smart ass captain who's funny at moments, but it's just Star Trek.
Yeah. Like there's two very active Star Trek groups that I'm a part of online. And when people talk about, you know, like the new Trek shows or whatever, people that aren't fans of like the new Trek stuff, they'll make a comment, be like, I'll watch the Orville instead.
Oh, weird.
And just like how on StarTrek.com, the official website for the, you know, Paramount and for the show, I mean, for all the movies and the shows and everything, like they did a fan poll and like an official one, and this movie is like considered to be like the 7th or 8th best Star Trek movie ever made. Like, it made that list. The Orville would make that list as a show. Like, enough Star Trek fans consider Orville to be like, it's got the 90s Trek like storytelling down to where a lot of the older 90s Star Trek fans would rather watch Orville than any of this new stuff.
Wow.
Because of the way it does storytelling. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And that's fair. And I think part of that is it's a episodic show, whereas Star Trek now up until next week has been very serialized. Like, you could watch, like in the 90s, you could watch episodes of Star Trek sporadically and understand what's going on. Now you have to watch it every week to know the story. They're returning to that with Strange New Worlds, which premieres next week. So that's exciting, and we'll probably talk about that in the near future because I'm gonna watch it. But yeah, that's. I need to give the Orville a shot. I watched the first few episodes and enjoyed it. I just never got into it. But is that everything for Galaxy Quest?
I believe so.
Okay. Next week is Ryan's pick. And now we're going to play a game, Devin.
What's the game?
All right, we're going to play a game. You have to guess which of the following is true about Ryan's pick next week. One,
Okay.
it is directed by Sam Raimi, who was directing Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a baseball film with Kevin Costner? Or does it feature J.K. Simmons, who played J. Jonah Jameson in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies? Which one of those is true?
It's a baseball movie with Kevin Costner.
False. It is all three of
No.
those.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Wait, what?
it's a baseball film directed by Sam Raimi that features J.K. Simmons.
What movie is this?
Ryan, you want to
For
tell
the
him?
love of, it is For the Love of the Game. Came out in 1999, and it is probably, and I'm just gonna say this now, it is probably one of my favorite. Like, it's in a category all of its own to me. It is my favorite baseball romance drama.
Okay.
It is in a category all of its own because I cannot think of another movie that I've seen that fits that. Because it's not a comedy. That would be Bull Durham. That would be Bull.
Yeah. I asked Ryan weeks ago if he could do this pick for next week, getting into Multiverse of Madness. And
Yeah.
like it's been on the Google Calendar, which I now know you don't read.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I messaged Ryan earlier today. I was like, "Oh, we should mess with Devin," and I figured out how to do it during the show. So
Yeah, so I mean it's yeah, and I'll get this now. I wasn't going to tell you this because I wanted to be a surprise when he came up on screen, but I'm just going to tell you now who it is because I want you to be excited for it.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly's in this.
Literally, his image came up when I Google searched it. I am
Yeah.
so excited to see John C. Reilly in this.
And he plays a Major League Baseball catcher, which is even funnier.
Is he funny in this, or is this like early Vince Vaughn, where he's like, I could
No.
be an action hero?
No, his role in this is like slight comic relief to Kevin Costner's like serious facade for his character.
Okay.
So like whenever he deals with, Riley, it's more or less of Riley because a relationship between the catcher traditionally is supposed to be like the pitcher's like helper,
Right.
and that's what he plays. He's just John C. Reilly.
how about we
Alright.
talk about this next week on our show?
No, I know. I
Cannot wait.
just wanted to, and he had a question, so I'm answering.
Yeah.
I just wanted.
I want to
trying
go
to
on a
sell
Sam. I want to go on a Sam Raimi kick before Multiverse of Madness. So this is gonna kick it off, I think. So yeah, tune in next week to hear us talk about the final Kevin Costner baseball film that Ryan has for us to watch. We
and
will
you're
be.
going.
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
You're going to hear my sci-fi fan fiction that links all three movies together. Then.
Awesome.
Weird.
So tune in next Tuesday, same time here on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also listen next day on your favorite podcasting app. You can catch up on all of our old shows on our website, rumrunnerspodcast.com/you have to watch this pod. Special thanks to Long Lost Vibes for our theme song. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and I believe that is it for You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
and by Gathal's hammer, you shall be avenged. We'll see you next week. We need